crazy series it's been so far. So Wemby had 27 points, 17 boards, 5 assists, 3 blocks in Game 5 in that victory after being ejected from Game 4. He said after Game 5 that he wasn't going for rage baiting from Minnesota. He wasn't going for that. Do you guys like how he responded after being ejected from that previous game, Robin?
It was sublime. Absolutely.
Why?
You can tell. Well, he said it himself. You knew that Minnesota was going to be out there trying to poke at him, trying to get a similar reaction. He wasn't falling for that. He just went out there, let his game speak for itself.
I think sometimes when you, after you make a decision like that, whether you meant to knock Naz Reid, down or not, you hurt your team. And your response is everything. Right? And I've seen great players in this situation before where they either got a tech or a fight with a teammate or argument with a coach, and their response that next game was phenomenal. And that's what great players do. And, I guarantee you he took that home with him. He's not necessarily wrong for how that's what big men are taught. Get these dudes off you. They slapping on you, they grabbing on you, get dudes off you. I mean, I've always taught that. You guys have always been taught that. If guards and forwards are smacking down on you, reaching on you, you've been taught this is your space. I'm not saying that he should have cracked Naz Reid, but that's just how you're taught, right? And so I just know that he took that play home with him and said, you know what, I'm not letting anything get in the way of my performance, because they still played that game tough without him. But if he was in that game, who knows what would have happened.
I agree. I think that I love the way he responded, but I'll take it back to even Game 4. When he found out he was ejected, he didn't sulk, he didn't just leave. He clapped it up. He gave everybody a high five and said, let's go, let's go, let's win this, let's win this. You won without me before. And I think that for his teammates is huge. If your best player goes out of the game and they kind of are sulking, you feel like you're defeated at times. But he encouraged those guys, and I really love that part about him getting ejected. We know the playoffs. The playoffs get gritty, they get nasty, they get more physical, the game slows down. So I do love the way that he did that. But then also in Game 5, he was able to come out pure business. He knew that he owed it to his team to come out and respond, and it was strictly business. And I love that about the way that he responded in Game 5.
Yeah, he's just you could just see him. It's like he almost learns and applies immediately. Right? Whatever goes wrong, he not only learns from it, but he gets better from it. And I guarantee you, knowing that in the playoffs, this is a fragile situation and you're the best player on the team and you did something to remove yourself from that game, that sits with you. You're not sleeping that night. You oh man, and y'all lost. If they had won, he might feel a little bit better, but they lost that game and it was a winnable game. So I expected him to come out that way, and he showed up.
Yeah, it's like his version of his accountability to his team specifically. And we've talked about this when it comes to Wemby all season long, his intention and the way he moves, even just at a press conference, after the game interview on the court, taking a beat before he answers a question, right? This is the type of mentality that he has in any scenario, especially when it comes to the court and how he impacts his teammate. All right, elsewhere, Rudy Gobert has the tough assignment of guarding Wemby.
Lord.
Rudy did a pretty good job guarding Jokic, but has struggled a bit more against Wemby, which is understandable. In the Spurs' last 2 wins in the series, Wemby has scored 39 and 27. So during the game broadcast, Reggie Miller suggested the Wolves start Naz Reid at center to provide more spacing. Coach, does that make sense to you?
I agree with Reggie to this extent because it's getting tight, and it's not about ego or anything like that. And we were talking about it in the back. It's about matching minutes with the best matchup, right? This thing about starting and all that stuff, I get it when you're the best player, and Rudy is one of the best centers in our league. We don't doubt that. But clearly over the course of his career, he struggled with space, right? And so why keep fighting that battle if you're coach? Get him matched with Luke Cornett, play those other minutes with your space group, your smaller groups. It'll also unlock Julius Randle to be next to Naz Reid because, again, he's an attacker, needs to touch the paint as well. Now you're looking at 4 spacers around him when he has the ball. So it opens up a whole lot more things to kind of shift those minutes to Nas and make Rudy's minutes more of a bench player's minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think that if they do decide to do that, I think Rudy, obviously a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year winner, he's a vet and he knows that he ultimately wants to win a championship and compete for one. So I think that his ego is probably out of it at this point. He wants to win, and I know that he probably wants to do everything for his team to win. With that said, if they do decide to start Nas Reed, it not only helps their offense, but it kind of makes Victor have to be a little bit more honest. You know, he can't just sit in the paint and clog it up and guard Rudy in the dunker. He has to guard Nas Reed out there, and that opens up the paint for Minnesota to kind of attack and gives Julius Randle lanes and Anthony Edwards. And then it'll get Nas Reed going if Victor decides to sit in the paint.
Yeah.
Robin, your big insight?
Rudy Gobert is the center for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You know what I meant.
Yes.
You know what I meant.
I know precisely what you meant.
Thank you. We're connected here, Ron.
Or like this.
It goes above, like, into another plane. It's crazy. All right, meantime, Julius Randle is shooting just 37% in the series so far. What does the team need to see from Randle to force a Game 7, Robin?
That's an excellent question. I mean, obviously they need more from him. He's one of their main offensive hubs alongside Ant-Man. But in reality, I think both of these, the first round series with San Antonio Spurs and the second round series, they've both been mirages so far thus far. Because if Victor Wembanyama has been healthy, the Spurs have been heavily favored to win both of those games. So I'm not sure what I want from Julius Randle, honestly, you know?
I think if they make the spacing adjustment, that'll help them big time, like I said, but they got to get him the ball closer to the basket. They got Castle guarding him. If he's out dribbling 25 feet from the rim against Castle, he's going to lose that battle. Castle's a strong kid. He's athletic, quick as heck. So you got to get Julius live catches closer to the rim where he can take advantage of his power. And if he's got good spacing around him, he can go to work. But if you look at all of those clips you just showed of him, the paint was like mud. Like if you look behind him on all of those visuals, all he's seeing is bodies in the paint. And so somehow Coach Finch is going to have to manipulate that to where he can unlock, because they need Julius to score more. Like, if they're going to be successful, they're going to need more of his regular season numbers than 17. So I think there's some ways he can tweak it. Doesn't guarantee success, but those are some couple of adjustments that I look for a coach to probably make.
Yeah, at this point in the post, those are the adjustments that can cost you a series or not. All right, coming up, when will the Thunder lose a game? When? Mid-playoff bracket, the 8-0 Thunder are waiting for the winners of Spurs Timberwolves. In the East, the Cavs are hoping to close out the series against the Pistons to meet the Knicks in the conference finals. All right, let's focus in on the West, because the Thunder have been on a tear to start this postseason. They had back-to-back sweeps of the Suns and Lakers, thanks in part to A.J. Mitchell, who has been starting in place of Jalen Williams. So you're very high on A.J. Mitchell, DeAndre. What's he been providing for the starting lineup?
I love A.J. Mitchell. I think that he does a little bit of both on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
He picks up, he's a pest defensively, and he knows how to play make and score when they need him to. And it kind of gives them another ball handler with Shea on the floor. And also, we talked about this in the back. When they're healthy, him and Jared McCain are their backcourt bench. You know? So that's just insane.
Crazy.
And that's how deep this team is. But I think that look at him. He's been insane on both ends of the floor, and I think that he gives them a lot of energy and also some poise when they need it.
Yeah. Bona fide second score. Like, they lost their second scorer, and then this kid that didn't even play on the team last year is now their that's how much talent they have on this rod. Again, the best six man they got is Sam Presti. Hands down. This dude has just loaded that team up and still got assets in the draft category. Yeah. So, you know, what he's doing is, for a young player in this moment to help a championship roster is, I mean, we're seeing some excellent basketball being played by this kid. I mean, look at these shots he hits. These are big-time shots. He's posting up. That's the thing I was really impressed with. He took Austin Reeves down on the block and put him in the post.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's when you really got game. When you got all those levels of scoring, he's a great finisher. He's got mid-range pull-up. He showed he could post some. And obviously having another guy like that can break you down off the bounce without a play call. I always talk about that. Like, they got Casey Wallace, they got that kid, they got obviously the MVP. They don't need a play. They just say, give me the ball, and I'm going to get by my guy, draw to him, and then go from there. And that's what makes them just deadly. And we said it all year. The Lakers, you know, as talented as the roster is, they got some slow wheels. And I've been listening to guys on TV because I like to watch everybody. And everybody's got an opinion on what the Lakers need. If they don't add speed, it ain't gonna matter. And they've been saying, I've been hearing all kind of other stuff. Oh, they need this kind of forward, they need da-da-da-da-da, and no LeBron or have LeBron. I don't care what you say. If you got Luka Doncic on that team, everybody else needs to be lightning fast.
Right.
So that's my opinion on the Lakers roster.
I'd say you're pretty qualified to give your opinion here, Coach. But let's talk a little bit more about J-Dub, because Jalen Williams has been sidelined with a hamstring strain going back to Game 2 of the first round. The Thunder are hoping at this point to have him back for the conference finals, although, you know, we were just talking about it. For what? They're doing great. But once he does get healthy, how do they get him back in the mix, Robin?
I mean, I'm not concerned about it at all. This Thunder team is so good about having next man up, accepting what their roles are. What I'm concerned about is they just need to get better uniforms.
Oh my God.
If the Thunder win another championship, then these are going to be classic uniforms, and that can't happen.
Look at you, thinking forward, thinking always.
You gotta look, right?
Yeah.
What else is there left to say about the Thunder at this point?
Literally.
They've been that good. I think the Spurs, assuming they advance, will be a very good matchup for them. Coaches explained why that is. You talk about speed, right?
Speed. The Spurs are the tough. That's because, and Wemby, of course, because Wemby kind of, I don't want to say cancels Chet, but he's a super Chet.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, but the speed that the Spurs can put on the floor at the same time, I think getting Jared McCain was definitely a counter to that, and adding him to the team. I think AJ playing at this level will be a counter to that.
Yeah.
And so that makes them a better basketball team going into that series. The thing about him coming back, and I've always said this, when you have a definitive number one, everybody else coming back is easy.
Sure.
Look at the teams where the number one is always like, which guy is it? Boston. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, right? That's always kind of been a tit for tat. Like, Jaylen Brown was an MVP candidate this year, hands down.
Yeah.
But they've always been battling for that top spot. So when Jason Tatum comes back, what does Jaylen Brown do? It's like, usually, and now my guy is here who's used to being the number one, and he plays a certain way. That's when it gets uncomfortable. But like it would be like if back in our day, if D-Wade would have got hurt when him and Bron first came together, because they were still both so good, right? But when you see a definitive number one, and it's just this dude is the best player, everybody else, they fall in line. And systematically, the system they play in with Coach Dagnall is seamless, and you just fall into it.
Right.
You know, it's not a thing that we got to get you touches, right? They don't play that way. It's not about getting people touches. The touch is the outlet to Shea.
The ball's gonna find the best player, and that's
gonna
just
find them, right?
But it's also like how much trust they have in each other. Like Shea scores when he needs to score. He passes the ball when he needs to pass, similar to Nikola. But also, I think that, like I said, the trust that they have in A.J. Mitchell to post up, to take over the game whenever he needs
Let him go.
to play make. The system that they have is great, but the trust that they have in each other and the trust that Coach Dagnall has in each and every guy that he puts into that game, that's great, and that's what you want from a team.
Well, they've had the fortune of developing that over, X amount of years, especially the past, year and a half where SGA hasn't been going back in the fourth. So these guys have gotten 12, 18, 25 minutes some nights playing together against teams' best lineups. So.
And it's always a great thing when your best player is not playing in the fourth quarter. That's great.
Back and forth. Going back to the beginning of the season, he's still throwing down bars, even now in the postseason. In summation, we're not worried about the dynamics of this Thunder squad. I think they got that on lock. Coming up, though, Coach Fizz breaks down what